Hi, Alyssa. How are you doing?
I'm good, Janine. How are you?
Good, good. I'm so excited about this topic because it's something that I just, with everything going on, right? We have more time at home and not all the crazy running around that we're used to. And so it's so nice to have this time to really organize our spaces. And so I can't wait to hear what you have to share.
Yes.
And so I just want to introduce you, Alyssa. So,
Okay.
if for those of you that are watching that don't know, Alyssa not only is a Power Ranch resident for how long? It's been a while, right?
Gosh, we moved to Power Ranch in 2008.
Oh my gosh, so
Yes.
12 years.
Yes, I know. We
Um,
love it. We love it.
yeah. And you are a certified home stager, interior stylist, right?
Correct.
And you
Correct.
specialize in colors, or tell me what you specialize
Yeah,
in.
so I specialize as a home stager. I specialize in actually occupied home staging consultations. So I help homeowners who are going to be living in their home while their house is on the market. I help them create inviting interiors for the resale market and often utilizing items that they already have in their home. And so we just kind of work with what they have and really help to inspire buyers that come through their home or when they're looking at the photos online. And then I also, I started as an interior stylist and actually as a color consultant back in 2003. And so I have always had a passion for color and putting together color palettes. And so I also love doing that as well.
Yes, well, we love working with you, Alyssa. You truly have just an amazing eye for what you do, and you always make our clients' homes look so beautiful, and they
Oh,
always love you. So I honestly, I can't say enough, and I can't speak any better about you. You are amazing. You are truly
thank
gifted at
you.
what you do. So
Oh, thank you, Janine. And it's, gosh, always such a pleasure working with you and your entire team.
thank you.
Love it. Love it. I love what I do. So happy to, yes, happy to
We
help.
love working with you. So I am so excited. Well, I'm going to let you take it away and I'll be here and ask
Okay.
questions, but it's all yours.
Thanks, Janine. Okay. So right now, I think what we're going to talk about is organizing tips and tricks. And I could talk for days about organizing your home, but we're actually going to kind of narrow it down to about four spaces that I know can be a problem area in my own home. And I know working with other clients, it can be a problem area in other people's homes as well. And so the four areas we're going to kind of dive deeper into are going to be your home office space. We're going to talk about master bedroom closets. We're going to talk about kitchens. And then we're also going to talk about how we can organize our pantries and our linen closets. So I kind of grouped those last two together. So, but before we even start thinking about tackling an organization project, we want to kind of go into let me get this here. We're going to talk a little bit about some organizing mistakes that we might want to avoid before we start to tackle a project. So number one, one of the biggest organizing mistakes that we make is not keeping items close to where you actually use them. So clutter tends to occur when we don't put items back where we found them, or it's too inconvenient when we're done with an item to go put it back in its place because it's just out of the way. So to remedy that, we want to make sure that we're storing that item in a very convenient spot where we actually close to where we actually use them. Number two mistake is that sometimes we get so excited, and I've been known to do this, is we get so excited about organizing a closet or we're organizing our office and we just want to run to the store and purchase all the really cute baskets and totes and bins and stuff like that. But what we aren't aware is that sometimes when we're at the store, we realize that we're like, well, how many bins do I need? What size bins do I need? What color do I want to get? And so we want to make sure that when we are focused on one space, that we're after we've decluttered, we're kind of setting everything into certain piles, and then we're making a shopping list of all the different sizes of totes and baskets that we need, any trays that we need. And then when we're at the store, it's very easy to just get the supplies we need, and we're not having to make a lot of trips back and forth to the store, either returning too many baskets or we happen to not get enough baskets. Number 3 is buying a wide range of organizers. So you can have the most organized closet if I open up a closet and everything has its place, but if we have too many different types of organizers, if we have like canvas totes, and then we have brightly colored plastic trays, and then we have, I don't know, the list can go on and on. If it doesn't look cohesive, sometimes that space can still feel cluttered. So it's nice to kind of plan out your space and say, well, I want to work within this color scheme. Maybe I'm really drawn to just a crisp, clean white, and then maybe I want to bring in some warmth with some woven wood baskets. So that way, when I'm at the store, I know I can just focus on shopping for the white and the woven woods. Number 4 is not utilizing the prime real estate in our space. So for example, if you're in your kitchen and you are, every morning you make yourself a cup of coffee and you're always having to reach high up on your tippy toes to reach a coffee mug, or if you're in the evening, if you're always stooping down and trying to bring out all your pots and pans and they're just in that inconvenient spot, you feel very unorganized. So it's always nice to make sure that when we are organizing a space, we want to think about what our daily routine is, and make sure those items that we use on a daily basis are at arm's length and easy to get to. And number 5 is something that I've been known to do, is stashing stuff out of sight or just corralling things into neat little piles. So I know when we get mail, we have a pile of mail that sits on our counter for about a week. And even though it's a nice, neat little pile, it gets bigger and bigger. And sometimes I just move it to another part of the counter, or I move it into our hallway. So it doesn't really help that that pile is just being moved. We want to make sure we're doing something with that pile and not creating more clutter. And I'm going to talk about that more as we talk about our home office spaces.
I love that. I'm going to have to make sure my husband watches this, because he's like I ask him to clean up something and then he just puts everything in these piles and he thinks that he did a good job. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Yes. Those
it's still on there just because it's nicely or neatly piled up doesn't mean it's organized.
Exactly. So yes, we'll definitely go into that a little bit deeper in the next couple slides. But then, so once we know that we might be making some of these organizing mistakes, we always want to make sure that when we start the process of organizing always must begin with decluttering. We don't want to just take the same items that we pulled out of the closet and then just put them back in a different way. We want to make sure that we're asking ourselves, why do I have this item, and do I really need this item? And so, so these are kind of 5 questions you can ask yourself as you work your way through a closet or your kitchen. And it's kind of based on, it's called like the 2-year rule. So number 1, have I worn or used this item in the past 2 years? So if the answer is no to any of these questions that I go through, we want to think about, well, what can I do with this item? Can I donate it? Is it still in really good condition and somebody else can get benefit from it? Can I pass it along to another family member? And so just kind of think about those questions as you're going through your space. Number 2 is, will I wear or use this item in the next year? And then number 3, if I was shopping right now, if I was going to the store, would I buy this again? And again, if you think, gosh, I would never buy this, then why do we need to hang on to it? If you happen to have an item laying around either in your garage, if you have a kitchen appliance that's sitting on your counter and it's not working, is it worth is it worth fixing it? Or might it be cheaper just to buy a whole new item? So if it's cheaper to buy the item new, it might be worth just getting rid of the one that is not working. And always think about if it's an electronic thing, if you're going through old paint in your garage, make sure you're taking those items to a nice recycling facility. I know we have a great one in Gilbert, so just be cautious and think about that. Number 5. And this is a big one. This is the one I tend to always ask myself when I'm working on a space, is if I was moving, would I keep this? I think we're, when we are moving homes, we kind of are a little bit more picky about what we want to take to the next house. And so if you're going through things, you're like, would I really move this? Would I really want to use this in my new house? So that's a really good question to ask too. And yes. Okay.
No, I love it. It's such a good, because I know I get like that too, where I have stuff and I'm thinking, and I'm sure you'll touch on this, but you're like, oh, I wouldn't wear it, but it's sentimental, right? Or
yes,
it has some sort of special value, and that's why I hang on to it.
Exactly. And that brings up a really good point. So the 2-year rule. So yes, it might not work on everything, especially for like keepsakes. So I know my mom has passed down boxes of my baby clothes, and I have my 3rd grade report card, and I have all of these items, handprints and things like that, that I had a big box of. And so when we have these keepsake items, and sometimes they can be a little bulky, what we want to do is not really go by the 2-year rule, but there are some really great questions to ask. And I'm going to just touch on this briefly, but I don't know if you can see my mouse. So at the very bottom of this slide, it says thriftylittlemom.com. She has a really great printable that you can go to her website and print this slide out. And it goes over a really great checklist when we're needing to go through those boxes of mementos. And we want to ask ourselves, maybe like, do I remember making this item? Does it hold a really special memory when I look at this piece? And sometimes we don't even remember, like, do I really need to have my 3rd grade report card? And so we have to kind of go through these items, item by item. It does take a while, but we do want to ask ourselves these questions. So this is a great list of questions when going over keepsakes, and especially with pictures, and again, artwork and kids' handprints, where we have a lot of paper products that are kind of jumbled in a box. Maybe we can think about scanning them and making a digital copy that we will always have, and maybe that will help to limit the space that is taking up our closets. So again, if you want to, again, this is a printable printout at thriftylittlemom.com. And she has a great blog post about going through your keepsakes.
That's great.
Okay, so we're going to start on our first space, which is the home office. And I know so many people right now are working from home. Maybe we're set up, we maybe don't have a designated room that is a home office. Maybe we're set up in the dining room, or maybe we're in a guest bedroom that has a small little accent table that we're kind of pulled up to and using it as a desk. So we want to make sure our workspace is clean and tidy, because it does really help to improve your productivity when we're in a clean space. So yes, so any space that I'm going to talk about, always want to declutter the room first. Again, we don't want to just move stuff around and put it into these little piles. Again, we want to make sure we're going through the room and getting rid of things that aren't really necessary. Okay, so we do want to declutter. So number 2 is create an organization and program for your paperwork. So going back to those little neat piles, this is a really great website, a bowl full of lemons She has a really great blog post about organizing paperwork specifically. And what she does is this little basket under the number 2 up here. This is for when you get your mail or you have receipts. These are things that the piles can go into. And then at the end of the week, when you're going through that, there's a box right underneath that basket that says action. And these are things that maybe you have a bill that needs to be paid, maybe you have a piece of paperwork that needs to be signed, something that needs your attention. We want to put it in that action box. And then right below, it is things to file. So we want to make sure that when once a week, again, we're going through these boxes and then creating a filing system that's really easy to understand. And I love how she uses colored folders. It makes it very simple when you open that drawer that you can easily find whatever category you're looking for. Maybe you have your tax folders in green and your medical records in orange. So everything, you can take a quick glance and know what section you need to go to right away.
Alissa, do you have any tips on like how long you should keep things, or is that just like a way too big of a question?
Well, so what I have heard and what I've heard from tax professionals and things like that is you should always keep items for at least 2 years. Now, I would maybe do some more research on that. I'm not an expert on that, but yes, I've heard, and that's kind of the plan that my husband and I use is we kind of keep things for about 2 years and then we go ahead and shred.
Okay.
Good question. Number 3 is we always want to make sure that we're organizing our desk supplies. So sometimes we have markers and pens that are rolling all over our desk. So we want to make sure that they have a little caddy, and they make such cute little divided trays now, pencil cups, and it's always nice. So if your desk has a drawer, that everything is neat and tidy, and you don't have to go searching for that lost pen. Mm-hmm. So yes, have a little caddy desk organizer. And then number 4 is such a useful tool. It's a laptop or monitor riser. And these are so fantastic. Again, if you're not really working at a normal desk right now, or maybe you have a very narrow desk, we want to kind of elevate that monitor. And that way you have a place if you need to tuck your keyboard underneath, if you need a writing space for taking notes or something like that, you have the space for it. But it just gives you a little bit more real estate to work with when we have that riser, your monitor up off the desk. Mm-hmm. And then we also kind of forget about our vertical wall space in our office spaces. I know that some of the homes I go into, they're not the biggest of spaces, but we want to make sure we're utilizing the floor space really well. So if we happen to need a bookcase, so we already have a desk on the floor, if we're adding in multiple bookcases and then we need a filing cabinet, we're really encroaching in on our floor space. So we want to make sure we utilize that vertical wall space that sometimes just kind of goes unnoticed. And so I think this is such a great idea. So install some shelves. You can make your office, adding those little pops of green with the plants, it's a great place for your books. You can buy cute little boxes that you can put on your shelf if you need to hide any little paperwork items. Great idea for shelves too. Now, if you are not a shelf person and don't want to take the time to style a shelf or keep that neat and tidy, there's also another way to utilize your vertical wall space, and that is through a pegboard. And you can pick up a pegboard from any hardware store. It usually comes in white or kind of like a cork brown, but you can paint it any color. It's a great way to bring a pop of color into any space, but you can expand your workspace, again, up onto the wall, maybe bring up those pencil cups up onto the wall, your calendar. I think it's such a clever idea. to utilize that vertical wall space above your desk. And then number 6 is cord clutter. So sometimes clutter, it's again, kind of just this visual clutter under your desk. A lot of times people have these nice sleek desks that look really nice, but they have no back, they have no drawers. And so all we kind of notice is the cords. And so what we want to do, and that alone can make a office space look very cluttered. So what a really neat little trick is command hooks actually make a specific little it's a cord clip. It's called a cord clip, and you stick them to the underside of your desk, and you just clip your cords up so they're kind of up off the ground, up off the wall. It makes your space feel so much better. You can even, this is actually the power strip, and you can get some mounting tape or some heavy duty Velcro and mount your power plug to the underside of the desk as well. Now, if you didn't want to use cord clips, IKEA makes a wire cord catcher that mounts to the underside of your desk, and all the cords can lay really nicely in that. And then you can actually also buy a desk with a built-in cord management system. And so those are really nice too, where they've actually taken the time to they have little holes in the top of the desk where your cords go down and neatly are arranged over to where the plug is. So those are always nice too. But the cord clips are a nice, easy way to do that. All right, and then moving on to the next space is the master closet. So master closets can be kind of a catch-all area. They tend to be one of the biggest closets in our homes. And I think that's how things kind of just get dumped in there. And I know for me, and a lot of home builders, if you can see my house, put in these really large shelves that are kind of spaced far apart. I think they're a little too far apart to be used as a shoe shelf. You can use it as a shoe shelf, but sometimes they just end up being kind of a catch-all, just like this room. And so what we want to do, again, step number 1 is always declutter. And again, the 2-year rule is really, really good for master closets. And then this is a before and after. The polishedhabitat.com, she has a fabulous tutorial on her master closet makeover. She does has a lot of organizing tips and tricks, but she showed off her own closet, and she went ahead and she took out those shelves and put in a closet system. So if you have the budget to do it, adding a closet system can do wonders to your space. You can really plan out where you want your clothes hung. If you want to add drawers for things that you know you don't want to always look at on a daily basis. This is actually closet system is from IKEA. IKEA has a fabulous selection of closet organizers. But I love how when she took out those shelves, she kind of put in a vanity station, a place to get ready every morning. She hung a mirror, which mirrors are always kind of a great go-to decorative piece that I always recommend if you want to add a little bit more light to a space too. It will just automatically bounce light around the room. It makes your space feel bigger and brighter, but I think it's a great use of space if your closet can do that. And sometimes we always kind of struggle with our accessories, those little items that tend to get lost in our closet. So a really great way to organize that is take some really cute hooks, hang them on the wall, and hang your jewelry from the hooks. I think it's such a great use of space, and they're tangle-free too. And then what I really love about this shot is right above the clothes, she has clear acrylic dividers for her purses, but this would also work with other things besides bags, but it just keeps everything in line. Everything kind of stands up straight. She has little acrylic holders for her wallets and clutches, which these were all bought on Amazon. So just a really, really good use of space. And again, we're using that vertical wall space really well. And another thing is we always want to try, especially in master closets, is to get our shoes up off the ground. Even if it's not a built-in system like this, even just getting a little shoe riser. Again, Walmart, Target, Amazon have tons of ways to organize your shoes. And then number 4, so if you don't have the luxury of getting a whole closet system that has drawers and things like that, we can always still utilize the built-in shelves that are in our current closet. Or maybe our shelf doesn't have shelves like this with the woven baskets, but usually we have a top row of top dowel bar for clothes and then a lower dowel bar for clothes. And then we have the shelf between the two that tends to get things thrown onto. And so it's always a really good idea to add in extra hidden storage. And I am such a big fan of woven baskets. I think they add a lot of warmth, a lot of texture, and they're very, very useful. So add some woven baskets to those open shelves. Add some cute little totes on that shelf that is kind of gets lost between the clothes. That way we have a place for maybe our belts. Maybe we have some tank tops that always are falling off of our hangers and are unruly. So maybe we can throw those into the baskets as well. So just think about hidden storage. Where can I add a basket? And I think that will really help organize the space too. And then number 5, and this is a little thing, but it makes a huge difference, is using matching hangers. So, and organizing your clothing by color. These little things, doesn't sound like a lot, but it goes such a long way. And I am a huge fan of wooden hangers. I think they really make a space feel a little bit more elevated. And then another big tip that I always say is if you have dry cleaning that comes back to your house, go ahead and take off those plastic dry cleaning bags. Those can actually make your closet feel extra cluttered too.
I have a question, Alyssa.
Sure.
Do you have, like, I don't know, is there like a rule of thumb for, like, for example, you know, your shorts? Should those always be folded and put in a drawer, or is there like a better way to, is there a better place for them? And then, like you mentioned, tank tops should, like, one of my problems is where my master closet is and where my dressers are is like the opposite in my master.
Gotcha.
So I have my shorts in a kind of a little container like that in my closet.
Okay.
But I mean, is that the right way, or should it be folded in my dresser to make more space in my closet for other things? Like, is there any sort of rule of thumb that way?
So that's a great question. So I always say and how I kind of organize my closet is the things that I know that I wear on a regular basis. I want those right where I'm getting ready. So usually I'm in the closet getting ready. So if you keep those items, it would be best to kind of keep those items in the closet. Your shorts don't necessarily have to be hung. I know in my closet, I have kind of actually a smaller master closet than most homes, I think, but we still can utilize that space. So I don't really hang my shorts. They are folded, and they are, I have some woven baskets like this, and I do keep them folded in a drawer. Now, if I had the extra hanging space, I would probably hang everything. I don't really love to iron. And so I try to keep things that maybe show creases a little bit more. I try to always hang those items. So yes, if you have the space to hang, hang those items. But I know, and they even make hangers, like I was talking about tank tops earlier. They make hangers that have little rubber ends, or those felt hangers that keep everything on the hanger. So those are always really nice too. But yes, if you are always tend to be running to your dresser to go get something, if you can go ahead and hang it, then I would hang it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Good question. Okay, and then number 6. So you could have the most organized closet, but if you have a very dim lit closet, it's not going to do you or your clothes any justice. We want to show off your space. We want to illuminate your wardrobe. And so I see a lot of this when I go into homes that I help stage too, is we want to brighten our closets. We want to make sure that we are happy when we go into this space, and we want to show off all of our organizing progress. So what I always say is, if you have an original light fixture to your house, you can easily change out the light bulb, but sometimes it's really nice to actually go ahead and totally swap it out for like a new LED fixture. They have come a long way. What's really nice about LED is it gives a very kind of a bright, clean light, and they tend to be very low heat. So as you're getting ready in the closet, you're not feeling extra warm because you have a bright light above your head. And usually when we're thinking about, when we're shopping for light fixtures, a lot of times they'll talk about kelvins, the number, the wattage in kelvins. And so when we're shopping for specifically closet light fixtures, we want to look for an LED light that's between 3000 kelvins to 3500 Kelvin. Again, that's a really nice crisp white bulb fixture. Usually regular lights that are throughout our home tend to be more of a soft white, which is between 2700 and 3000 Kelvin. So yeah, in our closet, we just want to kind of up that just a little bit to have a crisper, whiter light. Okay, so, did we have any other questions about master closets?
One of the questions, Alissa, that comes up, and I know I personally have this issue, is I keep all of my suitcases and luggage in my master closet, and it's so bulky and takes up so much space. So is that where you would suggest, is that the best place for it, or is there somewhere else that we should be putting that?
So I think yes, I think the majority of people who have luggage keep it in their master closet. I keep it in my master closet. I also keep some. I have a front coat closet that I have a shelf right above the dowel rod that I keep a couple suitcases in. What I would say is always try to nest your suitcases. So if you have like a large, check on when you go, if you are traveling by plane and you're checking in your oversized piece of luggage, always try to nest that carry-on piece inside the larger suitcase. That way we're kind of taking up less space in your closet too. You can also, I know if you have a really high bed, either in a master bedroom, guest bedroom, go ahead and utilize the space underneath your bed. If some people have those low profile beds that sit pretty close to the floor, if you ever felt like you needed more storage space and you didn't want to store your luggage out in the hot garage, especially in Arizona, sometimes getting bed risers, they sell them in different heights, but usually they're about 2 inches to 3 inches that you could set your bed up on to give you a little bit more space below your bed to kind of tuck some bulky boxes, some under the bed storage totes, things like that. So under the bed, or again, master closets, if you can keep them as on that really high shelf up on your closet, but just try to nest them as best as possible.
Awesome.
Okay. All right. Then moving on to our third space is our kitchen. So our kitchen tends to show a lot of clutter. And even though we can walk into our kitchen and it can look super clean, if we open up a cabinet door, are we going to be worried about what kind of falls out? So, so first thing, again, we want to do is again, when we are organizing any space, we want to take one space at a time. So we want to kind of clear out our cabinets. We want to go through items, again, get rid of, donate items that you know you haven't used in the last 2 years, or you know you're not going to need over the next year. And then when we're putting things back in to the cabinets, make sure we're kind of organizing by category. So in this picture, this is kind of a party platter cabinet, but what I really love how they utilize this space is actually, especially in our lower cabinets, we sometimes have, we just utilize the shelf space. But then we have this huge gap right above that's inside the cabinet that gets lost. And so this is like, these are little wire shelf risers that you can buy. And that way we're creating another shelf and we're getting more into that cabinet. And again, it just stays a little bit more organized too.
Mm-hmm.
And then what we want to do is when we're talking about our kitchen counters, we want to kind of think about corralling our often used items into either a cute basket or a tray. When we put like daily used items, when we're corralling items like this, you're more often likely to put things back where you found them, is as if rather than if it was just sitting on the counter with no tray. And it actually makes such a pretty statement too and then you can add a cute little pot of greenery. It just makes a big statement.
Mm-hmm.
I know in the next couple of slides, I have a coffee station in my kitchen, and I was finding towards the end of the week, our coffee corner ended up becoming a coffee counter, and all of our coffee supplies would end up taking up the whole length of the counter. And so by corralling items, it's much easier to just say, oh, I'm going to just put it back onto that tray or into that basket. And even if you don't want to use a basket, even setting things up on a wood cutting board, even just having something that's elevated off the counter makes a huge difference. And again, I think it just looks super organized when we have those daily used items up on a wood cutting board. I think it's super cute.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, number 2, again, this is a little coffee station, corralling everything into that basket. And number 3, we often overlook the inside of our cabinets, inside of our cabinet door. This is a great spot for hanging those measuring cups, measuring spoons, kitchen utensils that tend to get lost in the back of the drawer. And I think this is just a really, really smart way to use that extra space.
Yeah.
And then number 4, and one of my favorite things I keep on hand, I think I have these in every cabinet of my house, is a Lazy Susan. These Lazy Susan spinners are so, they're very versatile. You can, in cabinets, you can keep your spices really organized, baking supplies, things like that. I think they're so useful. And I'll talk about them a little bit more in pantry spaces too, but they are so convenient. And then we also want to look at using tension rods. These are a fabulous little thing that you can easily install. These are great for adding extra vertical storage space and in cabinets under the counter, in cabinet space above the counter too. But you just have this, it just really, really helps to organize those cabinet spaces. And then even when under the sink, a lot of times that space under the sink can feel very cluttered, very unorganized. And a lot of homes, I go into, and I have one myself, is one of those big RO tanks that sits under your sink. And so we lose a lot of that, that floor square footage, and we want to kind of elevate things up off of the base of the cabinet. But just by installing a tension rod, you can really help to organize the space. Tension rods are really great for people who are also renting their home. It doesn't do any damage to the space. They can easily be removed and reused again. So I think tension rods are just a really smart solution for organizing. And then
there to make more, to make better use of that space under there. I love that.
Yes, yes. And then we kind of, as we think about our kitchen drawers, is we often think you can buy drawer organizers really easily, but we can also kind of think about incorporating a diagonal drawer organizer. You can actually gain a little bit more space when we work on the diagonal. And so it just creates little slots for, again, if you didn't want to hang the spoons on the door, we have a little slot for all those spoons that tend to, again, get shoved back to in the back of the drawer. And then we have longer slots for those bigger utensils too. So kind of think on the diagonal when you're organizing your drawers, but just a nifty little way to organize that space. And then as we move on to our fourth area, we're going to talk about pantries and linen closets. And so these first three slides are just about pantries. And so when we are opening our pantry door, or maybe we have a pantry cabinet, we want to go through all the items first. We want to take everything out, get rid of food that has expired or you forgot was in there. If you have a potato back there that's now kind of a potato tree, I don't know, it has all these roots. We just want to make sure we're cleaning out and not just organizing what we see in front. We want to make sure we pull everything out. And once everything is out, this is a really good time to make sure we clean our shelves. Even adding, if your shelves, when we pull things off the shelf, they tend to rub the paint off the shelf. So maybe we give the shelves a quick fresh coat of paint. Even adding really pretty shelf liner paper is always a really nice idea before we put things back in. And we kind of want to think when we are organizing our pantry, we want to think of, if you've heard of FIFO, it's first in, first out. So when we're going to the grocery store and we come back home, we want to put those new items in back of the current items that are open. So we're using the older items first.
That's a good one, Alyssa. I need to teach my kids that.
Yes.
I oftentimes will like bring the groceries home and then I'll tell them to put it away.
Yes.
But I noticed that, and then we have like all these or half-eaten bags of chips in the back because they put the new ones in front.
Yes. Yes. And then I also thought this was such a good idea is when we're kind of putting those grocery items away, or if we are pulling something out to make for dinner that night, if we notice that we're short on something or we're running low, this is a really great idea, is to hang a little clipboard on the inside of your pantry door and write down things that you know you're going to have to replenish the next time you go to the store. Number 2 is keep your pantry items organized, again, with nice, cute little woven baskets and clear storage containers. This can make such a big difference when we take the time to really purposefully organize our pantry. And I love how, I'm a big color person. I love how this pantry is organized by color. I think it just is such a great idea. And I love that you can see it just, food is so pretty to look at. And if we can see it, I think it just, in those clear containers, I think it makes a big difference. And again, here's another one where we have the use of clear storage containers. Sometimes we buy in bulk, and those bulky boxes can take so much space in our pantries. And so when we can take it out and put it in the clear storage containers, I think it's a it works out really, really well. And then as we move on, oh, and here's another, on the second shelf down, we have the Lazy Susan spinners. Works wonderfully in pantries, like for your oils, salad dressings. I know I've been known to buy, I have like 3 mustards in my closet because I didn't know I had mustard. And so that takes us to making sure we can see everything. And so on this second shelf, they have tiered risers, which are so great. And I have these in my pantry too. This way we can see all the food. Nothing is getting lost in our pantry. We can see everything. And again, we're using baskets. You can even label your baskets, label your clear storage containers. It just makes a big, big difference. And then number 3 is sometimes we, again, kind of like the cabinet door in the kitchen, we sometimes forget about the inside of our pantry door. And I think this is such a great use of space. A lot of homes don't have walk-in pantries. So this just gives you a whole new space. If we can install these wire shelves on the inside of the door, you get just so much more space out of your pantry. So smart. I love this idea. Mm-hmm. And then number 4, as we now kind of navigate towards, we're going to talk about our linen closets. So again, the wire shelves mounted to the door is great use of space for a pantry or for linen closets also. I think this is just a fabulous idea. And then this is a blogger, kellyann.com. She has a really great blog post about organizing closets, and she redid her linen closet, and I thought this was such a smart use of space. And I have started incorporating this into my own house too. But I love that she has, like on the top shelf, she has the woven baskets for all of her hair tools. So when we get ready in the morning, we can pull down that basket onto the counter, and when we're done, things go back in and back up onto the shelf. Sometimes we go to Costco or Sam's Club where we're buying in bulk, and it's hard to find places again for those big bulky packages. So it's always a good idea to kind of take out, remove items from their bulky packages and just put the items, store them in a cute canvas tote, in another basket. I think it's just such a smart idea. So she has extra razors, towels. It's actually really important when we're kind of folding our towels to kind of think about how we're putting them back into the linen closet. When we go shopping at stores, it's always good to have the folded side of the towel facing out. So when we go to grab that towel, we're just grabbing one. Sometimes if they're turned the other way, we can see it looks like there's like 12 towels in there, but there's really only 3. But we might pull on the one underneath and everything comes falling out. So it's always nice to have the folded side facing out. And then down here, we have hand towels. She has cough drops. She was saying that she trains her dog and she does a lot of the training in her master bathroom. So she has dog treats. So, I mean, you can utilize the space really well, but just keep everything in its own little contained space and know that when you pull something out, it's easy to put it back in. And then lastly, when we're thinking about storing our sheets, or if we have big bulky blankets, extra toilet paper, sometimes if our linen closet is big enough, or if we have a hall closet that has some floor space below, to get a nice oversized basket, put that on the floor and throw those items, those bulky items, into the basket. Again, works well for paper towels, works well for toilet paper. I am not a fitted sheet folder. I will admit that I do not fold my sheets. And so we can go ahead, if they're just kind of nicely folded. We can go ahead and, if we don't want them displayed on the shelf, we can just go ahead and put them into the basket.
That's a good idea. That's like
yeah.
the hardest thing to fold.
They are the hardest thing to fold. I haven't gotten that skill down, so I will need to practice. But for right now, they're in a little hidden basket. So,
a good idea.
And also, if you ever feel like if your linen closets aren't that big, or maybe you don't have a linen closet and you just have sometimes they're just a hall closet that's a cabinet door. You can also shop for vacuum sealer bags. They're the big oversized bag that you can put bulky blankets in. You could put in bulky coats that are not in season and vacuum out the air, and then you get a really compressed bag that you can easily fit on a shelf. So that's another good way to.
That's a good idea. You know, we did that recently because we had just a lot of like old comforters and things that were nice blankets, and when we had guests come, they would use them, but in their natural state, they take up so much space.
Yes.
And so we found the vacuum sealer bags, and oh my gosh, like it cut down so much space, and we have it all like in this one area. And then if a guest comes, we can just pull one out and open it up, and you know what I mean?
I love it.
Amazing, because you don't need those all the time.
Exactly.
And so, and it's almost like they're better protected in there than just out in the open anyways.
It's true. It's true. I mean, they can collect dust if you're not using them. I mean, for example, if it's coats or sweaters, you're only using them once a year. And so, yeah, they can kind of smell musty or get dust on them. I think it's such a great idea. I love it. Yeah. I love it. And then, so that was the 4 spaces. And then if you want additional info or inspiration on how to organize your home, these are some of my favorite bloggers and websites to turn to for more information, great visual cues. But yes, really good.
I love this. Thank you, Alissa. I am so excited. I'm so inspired to go organize everything now.
Oh, good.
I'm also like, oh my gosh, my spaces need so much work.
And I always say, just take one room at a time. I think people can sometimes feel overwhelmed if they're thinking about their whole house at one time. So just pick one spot and start from there. And when that space is done, move on to the next. So
I love this. And if people want to reach out to you for any questions, can they do that? How do they find you, Alissa?
Yes, so you can, I have a website. It's front&centerstaging.com. And my email, phone number is all on there, and I'd be happy to set up a consult time with you. Right now I'm doing just virtual consultations, and so we can definitely set up just a phone call or a kind of a FaceTime phone call. I'd be happy to do that.
I love it. Well, we appreciate you. Thank you so much. And
Thank you. Thanks, Janine. Bye-bye.